So, women's sexuality is a vital part of her being from which she can derive pleasure, confidence, intimacy, and ultimately motherhood. Very good morning to all of you. Thank you so much, madam, for your kind introduction. Respected seniors and dear friends. My special regard to Professor Raj Brahmbhatt. We are during COVID has given many things to, I think, to everyone, and the webinars are one of them. And we met through webinar, Professor Raj Brahmbhatt. I was interested in the female sexual functions since just when I finished my post graduation and started my nursing home way back, almost 38 years back. One of my staff came to me and told me, कल से मैं नहीं आऊँगी. What do you mean by कल से नहीं आऊँगी? I thought somebody has given $200 more and she is leaving. मैं जिंदा रहूँगी तब आऊँगी. My husband told me, तुम मेरे लायक नहीं हो, तो मैं सुसाइड कर रही हूँ. तुम सुसाइड कर रही हो क्यों? She has delivered 3 full-term healthy kids. Now her vagina is loose. So husband doesn't get a pleasure. She wants a new wife. Okay. So I thought, I said, okay, we have learned something called colpoperinography. Let's me do it, and went back to your home for 6 months. I don't know whether it will be going to help you or not, because we are not taught that there is something called vaginal looseness, there is something called sexual pleasure, there is something called a repair for that also. So a subject which is born by the sex only, that is the obstetrics, there nobody talks about the female sexual health. To cut the story short, she came to in my OPD like a newly decked bride. She's very happy. I said, now you are a newer woman, leave this stupid old man, have a new husband. So the female sexual function, what I think, it is a matter of quality of life. Yes, she is not dying, but she is dying silently, daily in the marital bed. That is more important. We have to talk about it. So not everything that is faced can be changed, but nothing can be changed until it is the faced. And that is the sexual health for the woman. For that we have to speak, we have to learn, and as a start, the moderator has said, we have to speak. We have to not hesitate to talk about this. Sexual health and the mental well-being are topics often only discussed behind closed doors. It's a taboo. But gradually we are all coming up. Here you are all sitting, and in Foxy there's a committee for the sexual health, and we are working a lot. Dr. Parag Patil was the founder of that committee in the Foxy. So it's my passion as a clinician to raise the voice and to create a better understanding of the trauma that this problem can cause to many couples, leading to devastating effects upon men and women's relationships. We need to talk about the female sexual dysfunction. When we talk about the sexual behavior, the composite of physiologic, anatomic, and the psychosocial factor is unique in every individual, and therefore no one definition of the sexual behavior is universally accepted. It occurs when an individual experiences a disruption in any one of these factors. And there are many taboos when we talk about the female sex. The most is a culture restriction. Many time a woman who is talking about sex is considered a loose woman. Or if she is talking about the sexual dysfunction, mainly it is related with the infertility and things are finished. So the path to understanding sexual dysfunction is in establishing a baseline of expected anatomic and physiologic responses to sexual stimulation that occurs in a healthy individual. So what is sexual well-being? There is a sexuality. First we have to understand what's the sexuality. Then sexual relationship. It's very important. If you're not happy in your relationship, at least for a woman, it is very difficult to have a cordial sexual relationship. It is just like a marital rape and nothing else. Then sexual functioning. Many a time patient comes after 3 year, 4 year, they are not able to consummate. There is nothing problem with any of them. They don't know how to do the intercourse. The patient comes, they are having an intercourse in urethra. So these things are very important. Understanding of the sexual response and the sexual frequency. So all things are intertwined. There's nothing. Only one factor is there, and this sexual well being, alongside sexual health, sexual justice, sexual pleasure, as one of the four pillars of the public health inquiry. This I was read in a WHO booklet, and it is an opportunity to refocus the ethics, form, and practices of the public health. We all know that regular sexual activity reduces stress, regularizes sleep cycle, regulates our mental being as a whole. When a woman is under persistent depression or anxiety, it can affect the sexual health. So, to improve the quality of life, addressing sexual health is very important. It is connected to more than the sex. It is a blend of one's physical and mental state. Ignoring wellness can directly impact overall well-being, and taboos alienate a person from the addressing their issues or seeking the help. We all know this August gathering knows what is the sexual cycle, from the excitement to plateau to orgasm and the resolution. But female sexual function is far more than the simple biological response to a stimulus. When a woman experiences sexual difficulty, there is almost never just one cause. A multifactorial etiology is the rule, and there is no quick fix. So, in this simple cycle, there's something called emotional intimacy, which is itself is the biggest sexual drive for a woman. What is the platonic relationships when we talk about for the many women that she's in a platonic relationship? We don't have a physical relationship. Basically, if a woman is not happy, she is emotionally deprived, only then she will go out. So that is a very important factor in the woman health. Here, they arise, maybe there's an anatomical reason, like Mullerian problems in the vagina, transverse septums and all, vascular and the endocrine system, sexual health, thoughts, feelings, emotion, they all play a big role. So this female sexual response is most accurately described by a circular model containing multiple feedback loop. At several points in the cycle, sexual response can be either inhibited or stimulated by cognitive influences. Non-sexual rewards may include emotional intimacy, feeling of well-being, or avoiding negative consequences. So women's sexuality is a vital part of her being, from which she can derive pleasure, confidence, intimacy, and ultimately motherhood. A diagnosis of a sexual disorder is ascertained by taking a thorough sexual history. When we are taught in undergrads taking history, I don't remember ever any professor has told me to take a sexual history. Yes, in a personal history, it comes at column, but particularly even in a post-graduation, nobody has ever told us take a sexual history. So it is a very important thing to take a sexual history in detail, and there are no objective measures other than those used for the research for diagnosing a sexual disorder. By the DSM-5, when we see the disorder, they are the disorder of the arousal and the interest, hyperactive sexual disorder, orgasm, genitopelvic pain penetration disorder. This particular disorder comes in ROPD of obs-gynae day and night, and most of the time we don't have an answer to give those patients. Initially, I still remember women come to our OPD, they said, Madam, आगे से gas pass हो जाती है. And we feel very bad at that time. Professors start laughing. अरे कुछ नहीं होता है, तुम्हारे दिमाग में वहम है. Yes, vaginal looseness can cause this thing. And think of the woman at that time of the intimate place, and she have a bias like a farting, what she will do. And these things, we can have a questionnaire. This is available on the net. And even you can make a short questionnaire for yourself and put you on your OPD. Tell all the patient to fill it. Your patient will come out from them. Many patients, they were hesitant when they think that this particular doctor is interested in my being as a woman, not a vessel of procreation, might be this come out and talk to you. So basically these disorders, they flows in one to another. If a person has sexual pain disorder, she's bound to have a sexual arousal disorder, orgasm disorder, and ultimately will land up with the hypoactive sexual desire disorder. So this hypoactive sexual desire disorder is the mind it with the longevity. The woman is going to live beyond 50 years, at least 25 to 30 years. And at that time, the HSDD is the most common disorder is found in the woman. It is a persistent or recurrent absence or deficiency of the sexual fantasies and the desire for sexual activity, can be influenced by chronic illness, lifestyle changes, aging, and relationship. Where sexual aversion disorder is a phobic aversion to and avoidance of the sexual contact with the partner, and often psychological in origin, and may be the result of the past sexual trauma. When we talk about the sexual arousal disorders, they are characterized by the inability to achieve or maintain a sexual excitement, expressed as the lack of the genital lubrication. Arousal disorder may be due to part of the decreased blood flow or the hypoestrogenism. Orgasm disorder. Many women don't know what is an orgasm. But yes, it is there because of the lack of the coital orgasm is prevalent. It may be considered normal in women. Here we have to remember there are two types of stimulation is there in the woman. One is a coital stimulation and another is the vaginal stimulation. There are certain women who does not have a proper nerve endings in the vagina. Recently, one of my patients, she came for these pleasure shots to me, and she said she has a very happy marriage and she has two kids, and she wanted the treatment. When we gave those pleasure shots to her, and I told her very clearly, maybe you're not going to get benefited if there's a lacking of the nerve ending in the vagina, maybe I'm not able to do it. She told me my husband is very happy after all these vaginal tightening procedures, lasers, and all the shots, but still my hyperstimulation of the clitoris is there, response is more, but there's still no orgasm from the vagina. So what to told those patients, that also we should know. Yes, at that time you try to do the stimulation of the clitoris, and maybe you get the orgasm by that. So there's other things when we talk about the pure problems. The patient mostly comes to us is a dyspareunia, vaginismus, and vulvodynia. Vaginismus is an involuntary reaction to the pelvic musculature to attempted vaginal penetration, and vulvodynia is a non-coital sexual pain disorder, consists of the genital pain and the non-coital sexual stimulation. They may be primary, they may be secondary, they may be global, means everywhere, and may be situational by a person or a particular incidents, like maybe they are able to put the tampon but not able to have a sex. So these are her silent sufferings. Who are going to talk about this? That is what I want to tell our female practitioners, because if you are not going to address their silent suffering, somebody else will come. So vaginal laxity, SUI, dyspareunia, vaginismus, engorgement, genitourinary syndrome of menopause, male factors, comorbidities, smoking, antidepressant, vaginal infection, vulvar infections, list is really, really endless. So heart attack, chronic pain, these are also the reason for the female sexual dysfunction. In males, there are lots and lots of studies are there, specifically in the diabetes mellitus for the ED. Maybe it is a reason in the female also for a decreased libido. This is a wonderful paper which I come across for the hemodialysis. And there they found that the sexual dysfunction is common in women on dialysis. Mostly it was all medicine, everything is 85%, all trials are done on the males and not on the females. So when we see the drugs that affect the sexuality in the women, as yesterday also service speakers has told that we have to take the history. There's so many drugs. patient is on those drugs and she is having a desire disorder because of those things. So, post cancer sexuality, this thing has to be really, really taken in the direct conversation, because the cancer is coming in the younger and younger women. The last patient of the breast cancer whom I have seen is a 23-year-old girl. So, thinking of a girl less than 40 years, how we think that they don't want a sex, they don't want a feminine experience in their life. So, this post cancer sexuality addressing is very important, because, as such, a woman's self perception can be adversely affected, making her feel unattractive, thus limiting her desire to have a sex. Disfigurement can result from the treatment of these malignancy. So, this is one more factor. In our country, there's no counselor, so we have to counsel these patients, specifically after even young patient. If you are doing a BSO in the endometriosis cases, we have to tell those patients, after BSO you need a HRT for a certain time, otherwise your sexuality is going to get affected. So, vagina is the most important organ for the normal sexual health. What I called a vagina dialogue between you and your patient. And vaginal health is an important part of the woman health. Vaginal laxity tops it. It is defined as the looseness of the vaginal opening, which differs from the pelvic organ prolapse, which is descent of one or more genitopelvic structure. It is a new terminology which has a symptom of the sexual function like arousal, orgasm, satisfaction, psychological symptoms like loss of femininity, loss of sensitivity, symptoms of the pelvic organ support like SUI, OAB, pelvic organ prolapse, and the vaginal symptom, and what I told you, the vaginal fluctuance. We have lots of treatment. It's not only operation. We have a non-invasive treatment in the terms of the energy-based devices, lasers, threads. Then pelvic exercise is very, very important. And at the end, surgical operations are always there. Vaginismus. Vaginismus patient do come. Grade 1, grade 2, grade 3, grade 4. And here, if you tell them use the KY jelly, use the dilator, it's of no use. They need a treatment. And neither have a IVF under GA. That is not an answer. She needs a life. So after the introduction of the Botox, the treatment of the vaginismus is absolutely changed. Yes, you have to consult that patient, send for the psychotherapy. Maybe she has some molestation, rape at the childhood, there's some trauma. But many women, after Botox, 90% they get relief, they don't come back for another shot of the Botox. Menopause, it's a big change in the human woman life. Even premature ovarian insufficiency at the 38, 39 years is coming up in a big way and causing the vaginal, clitoral, urethral blood flow reduction, leading to sexual dysfunction in the older women. Otherwise also, there's a lots of issues like desire, arousal, lubrication, and the symptom of atrophy is there. We have many treatment for that, from the non-hormonal to hormonal, and laser therapy is really doing wonder in the older women. Vaginal infection, never forget. A bad smelling infection itself is a very big deterrent for a sexual activity, and with the promiscuity, STI, and is leading the cause. Even they have a sex with unknown person, then they will apprehend and having a sexual dysfunctions. Mullerian abnormalities. Once I was examining a patient and she literally पूरा पैर उसका मेरे मुंह पे आके पड़ता, because she is suffering with a syndrome which is called hemivagina. Then when we operated and make one single vagina, and we are able to reach up to the cervix, so half vagina is full of the blood. Then pleasure shots for these patients, they are very good. And there's a structure and erogenicity of the female genitalia which we have to understand. Then many devices are coming like Eros for the tackling female sexual dysfunctions. And this is given the birth of the aesthetic, functional, and regenerative gynecology. And this particular association we have made in 2018 officially, but in the field I'm working for last so many 38 years. So in the end, I just say, if you suffer from the sexual dysfunction, you are not alone. We need to be open and adventurous. To do so is to admit to failing of the sexual desire, because even if you are not leading the sort of sexuality, adventurous life women are supposed to be living right now, you should still be able to experience excellent sexual pleasure. Female sexual health matters, and do not forget in today's world the relationship issues. Sex evolves through life, and this is normal. Sexual intimacy is a basic human drive and essential to well being and relationship satisfaction. Embrace your body at every age. Thank you so much for your patient hearing.
So I have a question, madam. That means clitoral orgasm is there, vaginal orgasm is there. What about cervical orgasm?
Sir, as far as we are concerned, we never talk about the cervical orgasm. It is just a vessel to contract and suck the semen. We never talk about it's a more or less cervical orgasm is discussed in the book, but in gynae, as such, we don't talk about the cervical.
But the issue is that if the penis is more, the female patients are complaining of penis is short. If lengthy penis can give more cervical orgasm or no, any idea about
No.
that thing?
When the penis is short, maybe it is not hitting the anterior wall completely.
Okay.
Because most of the nerves are in the anterior wall, which is so-called G spot. Although G spot now we call it as a zone.
Yeah.
There's a multiple orgasmic points are there.
Yeah.
Specifically when we are doing the G spot augmentation or doing those pleasure shots, so we feel the anterior vaginal wall. With finger, patient is awake, and the point she is saying, yes, she is feeling more orgasm at this point, this point, this point. We mark those points and give our PRP or hyaluronic acid at that particular point.
And indirectly, I mean whether the length of the penis matters or not. Indirect question is that.
It's really difficult for me to answer because no patient has told me, and I never talk about anything just because of reading without
Some
any
of my
personal
female
experience.
patients told me not touching the bottom, not touching the bottom. Like that they say. Their complaint is that. Presenting
So,
complaint
because
is that.
our most of the patient, I am doing a sexual practice because I am interested. But basically, most of the obstetrics and gynecology, the 30% patient, they are ready to talk about these things. But mostly they themselves don't talk. For them, they are pregnant, it is enough. Finish of the story. Many a time when I got interested, I specifically asked the patient the question and they see me, this
No, I
something
am
wrong with
practicing
this
only.
patient.
I am practicing only sexual medicine. That's
So
what
you will
patients
get
say.
those patients.
Yeah.
Now
That's it.
gradually I am also started getting, because I have started writing this particular word 5 years back only.
Oh,
Female sexual health specialist. Otherwise,
Yeah, can you please elaborate a little bit about pleasure shots?
okay. So actually everybody has the word O short. But O short is a TM word by Mr. Charles Runel. We should not use word O short. So I converted this word. What is this? This is for pleasure. So for my patient, this is called pleasure shot. Here we make the PRP, and this PRP is given either side of the clitoris and in the labia minora, outer side, inner side, and the anterior vaginal wall where the most of the nerves are there.
How much you inject?
So at one time, 1 ml on the both sides of the clitoris, 1 ml on the both sides of the your labia, and 2 ml in the anterior vaginal wall.
Do you add any vasoactive
No,
substance like
nothing. It's a PRP only. I make PRP by myself, and immediately I instill that PRP.
Vagina is a collapsible tube, only normally 2.5 centimeter. It can be enlarged, and so the size of the penis not matters much. And about the cervical orgasm, the lower 1/3 of the vagina is only innervated, not upper 2/3. But at the same time, the introduction and the movement in the vagina is giving the orgasm, and also vaginal, that is thrust on the cervix also they have matter apart from the clitoral orgasm.
If a person feels that his size is small, or if the woman feels that the size of the penis of the man is small, it definitely makes all the difference.
Thank you, ma'am. I just recently read a book in that when I was a female in the US, they commonly use the lube and the vibrators. So I want to know lubricants and vibrators. So I want to know that this orgasm because of the vibrators. And in Indian scenario, I want to know, because as a male sexologist, very few female patient visits to us. So what is this in Indian scenario? I want to know the role of, especially the orgasm due to the vibrator.
So number one thing, no doubt intercourse is the best blood flow instrument available to every couple. We tell our patient that does not mean you are now 60 years old, you stop having an intimacy. So number one thing, if a person is having a regular sexual act, her vagina will less atrophied. Number two, what you talk about the lubricant and the moisturizer, yes, it is available in the market, and we are giving to our women to use it, not only for sex, otherwise also they have a vaginal atrophy, vaginal itching, dryness, a feeling of dryness inside the vagina all the time. So we give the lubricant to use for that also. Then the third thing what we have for these women is local topical estrogen. That is a gold standard, and it can be given to any woman without thinking that it is going to lead to any cancer or anything. And the fourth thing which comes in our kitty is a laser vaginal regeneration. It is a wonderful thing for the older woman, because when we talk about the genitourinary syndrome of the menopause, it is not only the vaginal epithelium which goes under the thinning, and the lubrication is decreased. There is a no duodenal bacilli, leads to the infections and the petechial formation. And this pain, this thing decrease their desire. So with this EBDs, there is a increased neocollagenesis, angiogenesis, more of the blood circulation, more of the, when there is a blood circulation and the more of the superficial cell with the glycogen, the duodenal bacilli will be increased. So there is a combination of the treatment. A younger patient of the POI is coming with this problem. I will, madam, या तो मैं बोल लूँ या आप बोल लें? Madam, या तो मैं बोल लूँ या आप बोल लें? So, if a younger patient of the POI comes to me, then I will go with the MST, that is the systemic hormone therapy, because it's not only the vaginal health, I have to see the whole health of that woman. So, as far as the dilator is concerned, I think in our traditional, mostly women, they are not so much, after 55, 60, they are not so much enjoy the sex or want the sex. But yes, the newer women are coming up. The all type, the vaginal dilator, vibrator, everything is available on the Amazon. I tell them, go to Amazon, you can buy everything from the moon to earth.
Now, no more question, please. If the time permits, then we will have a next question also. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ragini ma'am. I request our chairpersons to kindly felicitate our speaker. Dr. Rajbram Bhatt sir, I request to kindly join with our chairpersons.
Where is the biggest honor?
Yeah, please. Ma'am saying that Dr. Rajbram Bhatt sir is her teacher. So it's really a blessing of a teacher to the students.